You're watching the Juice Consumer Direct podcast. I'm Carson Poppenger here with Jacob Thorpe. And we're pleased to have a guest today with us, Sam Preston, who is the founder CEO of Service Scalers, which is a large home services lead generation business. They're generating a lot of live leads and traffic for many different home service businesses throughout the country. And we're excited to talk to him today about digital marketing, what's happening in lead gen, and how small businesses can win with scaling up their online lead generation and lead conversion.
Yeah, Sam, it's great to have you with us. Give us a little intro how you got into this world, because no one starts out in life and decides that this is where they're going to end up, you know?
Yeah, you got to be a little bit of a psychopath to like this game. It was actually like back in 2018 when I started out. I was working at a software company doing sales when they switched my role to inbound, and my commissions tanked. And so I had to start making more money. Didn't know what I was going to do. Went to a networking event where someone said they needed a website. I was like, I can build a website. How hard can it really be? So how much? $500 sold. And I learned how to build a website, and that was the start of everything. So for 2 years, I basically built marketing in a box. I'll do everything for you. It doesn't matter what you want. Influencer marketing, social media marketing, ads, I'll do it. And quickly hated myself because I was building something that wasn't scalable. It was all based on my back. And so 2 years after that, I burned it down and restarted, deciding I was going to build a model that could actually scale, and started with just one offering, which was PPC. Built that out to $1 million company, and then brought on a couple partners where we built out several different marketing companies. But the one thing we never did is niche down. And so that's the birth of Service Scalers, where I was like, okay, I'm going to work with just one type of company or client in the home service space, so that my offers really spoke to them, and blew up. Within 2 years, went from zero to $2.5 million. And that's kind of where we sit right now, and still scaling. So that's in a nutshell, the story.
That's great. So they say riches in the niches is what they say with business, right? And you got a niche in home service, and you're working with a lot of different home service type businesses. What are some of your biggest verticals that you're helping with? Which types of home service businesses?
Yeah, we're working with all types. There's certain that doesn't fit perfectly, like home cleaning type of businesses, but we're working with fencing companies, HVAC, plumbing, roofers, anything that that comes out to the house to fix some sort of product or service on the home. We generally can work with
upgrading, windows, doors, siding, roofing, all that.
Anything in landscaping?
We have a few of those, but they're really seasonal. So a lot in the summer, less in the winter, and things change. So I don't think we have a ton of experience. Not that we couldn't work with them, but transparently, don't have a lot of those.
Yeah, I think the home services industry is so interesting to me. Our background at Squeeze was with mortgage and banking, and these banks and these credit unions that we were onboarding had really, really high tech investment and security and compliance and a real big digital presence. They kind of figured out how to scale digitally long before most of these home service companies did. And I feel like in the home service industry, you get a lot of companies that are almost 10 to 15 years behind the financial services game in both their ability to fulfill and their digital presence, the infrastructure, the tech. But there's so much scale there because everyone needs it. Everyone needs it. Anyone who has a home has a need for these services. And you've seen private equity gobbling up these regional players and forming these large conglomerates. But we've seen a lot of companies have used us as a hack, because of those tech limitations that they might have, they can kind of lean into us as their outsourced partner, and it positioned us well. But it's been interesting to work with these companies where literally their tech stacks are all over the place. Some of them have full out Salesforce instances that they've built and integrations that they've built with their scheduling and their calendar and their fulfillment systems. And some of them are just manually dialing them from cell phones. And that's how they get by. And some of them are buying leads, and some of the top 50 companies have never bought a lead, and everything they do is off of referrals. Like it's crazy how some of these partners have scaled. So I'm interested in hearing from your perspective as someone who's helping these companies scale and who's interacted with both small and large scale orgs. What is it that you think takes one of these home service companies and enables them to scale, especially in the digital side of things?
Yeah, I think this is, like you're saying, a very unique niche or area, because you can be 15 years behind and still scale pretty well. I was talking to a guy the other day who's literally a $5 million home service company, and his CRM is Google Calendar. Like that's all. He's got to 5 million, which is nothing to like laugh at. Like that's a decent sized business. But quickly we're like, yeah, there's nothing we can't help you if we don't actually know if the leads are turning into revenue, which is why working with a company like y'all, we usually pair really well, because we're top of the funnel. We want to drive leads. We want to pull in traffic from SEO and Google ads and Facebook and all this, so that we can push in leads, and then your systems to optimize, get the most out of those leads works really well. So the things that we see that when companies are able to scale is a couple different things. One, they are more focused on filling the job board than they are cost per lead, which sounds crazy. And I know that's coming from a marketer, so like take that with a grain of salt. But like your number one job should be to first get as many leads as possible and make sure your techs have never have downtime, right? Because if they never have downtime, they're filled, they're not sitting on their hands, then they have the opportunity to sell. Which means you have revenue coming through the door. The second part of that is obviously making sure that the cost per lead matches out. And then the second thing there is going to be CRM. Like, do you have the tracking and the back end set up so that hey, I'm getting a lead from Google ads, and that is turning into a booked appointment and then actual revenue? Because the worst thing you can do is be spending a lot of money on something like Google ads, where you're getting a ton of leads, but they're not actually turning into revenue. Whereas, a different Angie's List or something else is only giving you a few leads, but that's actually turning into like a 10x revenue for you. So it's so important if you're actually wanting to scale, is to know your numbers and be able to track it through the funnel.
Yeah, that's a common problem for businesses as they sort of scale up, and you come through a point where, I call it, like, for lack of a better term, like fat and sassy. It's like you're doing so well, like stuff comes in, you close it, you sort of get by, and everything's good. But then the bigger the company scales and the more operationally you have to add to the scale of the business, the more you depend on efficiency and making sure that everyone's getting the most out of everything. And you can't do that without the right system. So yeah, Google Calendar or something like that. It's like you're making sales, and you're going to get leads, and you're going to close some sales and make some money, and somehow the revenue and everything like that backs out. But at a certain point, you need to make sure that you're getting the maximum ROI, because you can also just like keep scaling that way until you don't and fall apart, kind of a thing.
Home service companies also cash flow pretty well. Like generally there's a transaction and almost like a swipe or there's an exchange of money pretty early on. And I've noticed that that'll make them like hyper responsive to trends in data. And sometimes they don't let the data actually bake out, because I feel like that cash flow almost enables them to make changes very quickly and be more nimble. I've seen lenders, on the other hand, like in the mortgage industry, where they'll operate at a loss for months and months, but they say it's okay because we're building our book or we're building our portfolio. So it is interesting, kind of the juxtaposition of those two things, and how that cash flow and that cash in hand enables you to make decisions pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, return on ad spend is a big deal. Like if you can spend a certain amount of money, make that money and put that back into your ads so that you can keep pushing your ad spend up, it's a massive deal. Although I will say, like, there are a ton of companies that do actually have that cash issue that you're talking about, and they've got to fix it. Like HVAC companies, like they get that lead in, but they don't get paid until it's done. And so if you are, hey, we set this appointment, but the actual fix doesn't happen until like a week later, then all the money for that lead and that service time has already been paid out, but you're not actually getting the job done, which we see a lot of our clients doing, like same day fixes. So making sure that your truck has all the tools necessary to fix it day of so they can get that cash flow back in. But you also see this with roofing companies, right? So specifically in roofing, because there's such a game on insurance companies, like, hey, you've got hail damage. We're going to, insurance will come and fix this. And I've got some friends who are, millions of dollars in accounts collectible. Like they need to go get that money. They just have to get it from insurance.
Yeah, that's a whole different animal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to be really careful, but you're absolutely right. The faster you can collect cash and get it back into your marketing, the better off you're going to be able to scale.
Yeah, there's, I think about the demand for home service businesses and the interest in it from a market standpoint. It's like we've been in this high rate market now for over 4 years. We were in a low rate market for a declining rate market for like 20 years, right? And so there's so many people that transacted during that period on an older home that they could get into at a lower interest rate, and it's affordable. But it needs some repairs. It needs to be updated. There's things projects they want to remodel. They may be in a position where they can't sell it, can't move. If they did, they couldn't afford the new rate, things like that. It starts to get very appealing to just stay there and maintain it and improve it and make it work for you, make that home work for you. And that's why I think there's been such a tremendous interest in home services and home service businesses and that market, because there's huge demand for it.
Yeah, I agree.
There's huge demand. You get a lot of people getting out of it. You get a lot of boomers who have like these big companies that, they're ready to retire. They're moving on. And so they're ripe for the taking. And roll-ups work really well with people who have really small, just books of business, and you can sell them just your past client list and roll that up into your current company to start outbounding them. There's a lot of different ways that you can do that.
One of the questions that I have for you is, you probably see this from a different perspective, but a lot of the companies that we work with have different approaches and opinions on what is the proper window to book out an appointment for. And I am curious, what is your take on that? What do you think best practice is? And then I'll tell you what I think.
Yeah, as soon as possible, right? Like specifically with how AI is going and how quickly people are able to get something going. If you're booking something out too long, you're in trouble. Now, with that being said, there's caveats, right? Like my wife and I, we just got our house painted. Don't ask me how much it was, because it was dumb.
It looks great. It looks great. That's a good color.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks. But we got our house painted, and we wanted to go with a specific contractor, and they were booked out for the next 3 months. We were willing to wait on that because we wanted to go with them, and it was a good price. And it was worth it. But like, if I'm an HVAC company and it's the middle of summer and I'm sweating bullets, I don't want to wait 2 days. I'm willing to call the next 12 people in line on Google Business Profile to get that. So I think it depends on where you're at. But with AI and the speed to lead that's happening right now, it's got to be same day or the next day.
Yeah, that's what I've seen. I think your show rates, like depending on the elasticity or like the real need that you have, I think anything outside of 72 hours is really, really, really tough. Especially if it's like a shared lead where you've got to know that they're being called by 10 other companies between the point that you call them and you schedule the appointment, and they're all saying, hey, we'll give you a deal. That's what we found. I found that outside of 72 hours, the show rate will drop like 20%. But same day is ideal. Yeah. That's hard to fulfill. Like, I recognize that. That's hard to fulfill. It's also hard to manage the technicians that are going out. If there's a no-show, like the tech morale and things like that. But yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. Best case scenario, you're getting to them as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I've had to call before for help.
If you're having it, go ahead.
I was going to say, I've had to call for help with things, and it's like everyone's busy, and they're like, I know you, I've worked with you before, but the soonest I can get there is, this time. And we live in a day today where, if you don't have power, water, or air conditioning, like we're pretty spoiled, right? Like things go south pretty quickly for us. We don't sleep at night.
Fat and sassy.
That's right. We don't sleep at night. I mean, I grew up without air conditioning. It was like in Michigan, and it was like 90 degrees in the middle of the night, and just sweating bullets. And I had a little fan blowing on me.
Crack a window.
I had the fan in the window, just blowing the hot air on my face, like as I sleep, and like beads of sweat.
Oh, I couldn't do it.
But today, we have air conditioning, and we need that air conditioning. So
yeah, that's exactly right. Like we expect those things. I mean, I had a situation a couple months ago where basically like our HOA landscaped over my drain, so the water was backing up like on the inside of my window well into my basement, and it was just coming through. And
not something you want to wait on.
Not something you want to wait on. And I called a bunch of places, and ultimately I went with a person who's like, I'll send someone over right now, because it's like, I need to get this taken care of. It's going to ruin my basement. Like, please come over now. I
mean, look, if you're so busy, you have so many leads coming in that you can't do it within 72 hours, you're in a phenomenal place. Like, that's a problem we all want. And the answer to that is go get another tech. Go get another truck so that you can continue to fill in the daily or that same day. And if you can fill in the daily, then don't go get a truck and spend more money on ads to get more leads so that you get to that problem.
Right. Yeah, you buy more, you scale the team up. You're going to have to scale up your marketing to make sure that they're always busy. You don't want to, have another few teams and they're splitting the workload and they're not as efficient and miss an opportunity.
And it's easier to buy another truck than it is to figure out a way to make your ad spend and work and revenue on ad spend work.
Yes.
So that's
100%.
That's for sure an easier solution. So you mentioned obviously AI. Everyone's talking about AI. We're talking about AI. How has the game changed for you in the last?
Oh, bro.
Like, I know it's been like 3 years, but really the last year it's really picked up. How has it changed from a marketer's perspective? How is your day-to-day different today than it was 3 years ago?
I mean, how is it different in the last 24 hours? Like, we are making, like, my goal right now is to, by the end of the next like 6 to 8 months, to automate so many processes that I can start charging half of what I currently charge today and still keep my same profit margins and bring in same profit. It's just so much that automation can do. Like, instead of using a CRM, I'm actually building out my own CRM and fulfillment team so that everything is housed in one database so that we can just leverage that and push things out much faster. Things that Claude Code is allowing us to automate. My team, my goal is as often as possible is to not go rehire someone new, but to automate that process so that one person can handle more. And so it is pretty foundational to what we're doing right now. Which is awesome because, think of home services, like, you can't automate that. Mm-hmm. We don't have the robots or the AI built yet to just have somebody go to your house and take care of the HVAC system. So that's not changing. But my job very much is, at least the new agencies, how do we get more done, more efficient without the issues that come with people and inefficiencies, and still get really good tangible results for our clients.
So you mentioned that, early on that you started kind of building websites and things like that when we were chatting, I think when we began the conversation earlier, but are you doing owned and operated websites that you have for these companies like part of your strategy, or are you just mostly driving traffic to their pages and their forms?
Yeah, we definitely build out websites currently. We don't own them, so we obviously build them out for our clients, and then they own those websites. But then, and quite frankly, that's just because we would drive traffic to a website that just wasn't very good. And so if I'm not driving you more leads, you're not going to keep paying me money. And I really want you to keep paying me money. So we obviously build out that whole website to make sure that it converts into leads.
That's great. Yeah. Takes a few different strategies to take advantage of everything, possible to convert more leads.
So when you look you mentioned some of the changes that you're making right now. Where do you think as a whole, home service lead generation will be in 3 years? What do you think that's going to look like compared to how it does now? It's
going to be wild. I think it's going to be AI agents tech into AI agents. So I'm going to get on the phone, or my wife will. My wife will get onto Google, and she's going to say, I need plumbing to fix
or Chat GPT or Chat GPT
or Chat, or Perplexity or something. And I want someone to come fix something on my house, right? Or plumbing. I've got a plumbing issue. It's then going to go find people in the market that have good reviews, that consistently show up and have a good response rate, and then those two AI agents are going to connect the appointment, schedule it, and then my wife's going to be told this person's coming to your house to give you an estimate, and that person will show up and it'll be done. Which is why, for me, it's so important to be ahead of the time. If I wait to change my agency for 3 years, it just will not be the same type of marketing. So we're trying to optimize ahead of the curve so that we can, still have a business.
I've heard that same opinion, from others in the industry that, my AI agent that I have that monitors all my insurance policies, for instance, could know that I'm coming up for renewal, and it could possibly go out and start looking at some competitive quotes and things like that. And it's going to be interacting with AI agents from the insurance company. And that's how the transactions are going to either start or complete, depending on how far they can take it, right? And at a certain point, I don't know that I want someone coming to my house that an AI agent set up. It's you get some random person showing up that the reviews or whatever are marginal, and you have some person just got out of prison or whatever, and they're coming to sell me. Talk to my wife about buying new windows at 10 o'clock on a Wednesday or something like that. It's I don't know how comfortable I'd feel with that, but it's definitely, things are heading that way because, the whole idea behind an AI agent is to save you time, be more efficient, get better options, better information. And, consumers are going to probably embrace that aspect of it before they embrace, I want to go out and interact with an insurance company's AI agent to do this. They probably are going to want their, because they're going to have it sort of baked in, the things that they're looking for and that are important to them, and maybe companies that they don't like and stuff like that.
Yeah. I would imagine that your assistant at some point will become so in tune with your algorithm that maybe it can even imply those things. But I don't know. But I do know that it's going to be interesting to see what the adoption is for people, because some people will just never want that. I think some people will be really resistant to it, just as people have been with a lot of things, and the internet. And what's the adoption going to be? And ultimately, it'll be just like an omni-channel contact approach. It's meeting the customer where they're comfortable being met and being able to work with them at that level, and being able to cater 100%. Your needs. Because the people who are able to do that effectively, some will say, I'm just going to do all AI, I'm going all in, and they're protecting their profit margins, and they're just saying, this is so much cheaper. I will lose business, but that's okay because this is so cheap. But they're going to lose out on market share to people who may say, well, I'm still going to lean into the customer journey and the customer experience that they receive, at least until adoption is at a point where it becomes table stakes.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And I think the customer journey will always be there. I don't think it's going to get to a point. I was probably being a little bit dramatic when I was saying like AI agent's going to just talk and then suddenly somebody's going to show up. Like it's probably more of like, hey, here are 3 options. Which ones do you want to go with? And then it gives you kind of the option similar to what you would do with Google. And then you pick the 3, then it schedules it. They come out, but they still have to bid on something. So I think that the customer journey has become even more important because that part of just like somebody calling in will become less and less often. And so how you brand yourself, how you do the small things, I think will become even more important to stand out.
Yeah, like one thing I don't enjoy in customer, in consumer transactions and things like that is buying cars, like maybe I have to get a car for my kids or something like that. And I have a process I go through. There's a process that I go through that an AI agent literally could do for me, which is find a vehicle in this radius that has a clean Carfax, that hasn't had any, issues, that's got mileage below this point, that's got a price below this point. And, and these are the makes and models that I'm interested in. And, find that for me. And then I just go test drive it and buy it, I could see that happening because there's so much like friction in that whole process. And, I could see that becoming like an auto sales. We don't really do anything in auto sales, but I could see that being a transaction.
Almost commoditize it. Yeah. It feels like there's so much, when you're going to buy a car, there's so many hoops you have to jump through and so much time you've got to spend sitting there.
I don't want to buy the car that they are selling me. I want to find the car that I'm looking for. That's probably more my approach. And a lot of times if you just show up and talk to the salesman, they're going to sell you on the car that they have and that the car that they need to get rid of and the car that they have the most margin on and things like that. And so.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how companies adapt, but it'll also be interesting to see how these home service companies, that a lot of them, like they're owner operators, they're people that have not really dabbled as much in this world are going to start adopting it, because I think those of them that nail it are going to have such a leg up on those that don't. And I think there will be a lot of that consolidation that you were talking about, where the bigger guys start just gobbling up the books of the smaller ones, because of that competitive advantage that they're able to create with that customer journey.
Yeah, I think there's certain channels that the bigger companies are definitely going to be able to own more of, but I still think there's going to be huge opportunities for the smaller guys to do things that the bigger companies can't do. Facebook groups, Angie's List groups, Nextdoor, social media, like those are all really hard to do at scale well at a big company. And so I still think it'll be like, you'll still have the opportunities to grow. I think it's more the middle-sized companies that are going to struggle, because they're going to have all the problems that some of these bigger companies are going to have. They just don't have the capital to be able to like fix that problem. And so, I think that the smaller companies are actually going to be okay. It's those big ones, it's the middle ones that are going to really struggle.
Yeah, what a strange world. But I can totally see that, where the plumber that markets at the local high school game is going to be at such an advantage because he's the one that does the plumbing in that town. It's relationship stuff, and that's never going away. And in fact, that will become a competitive advantage. That will become something. I mean, it already is, but something unique. That's cool.
Or go back to referral marketing.
Yeah. Maybe we just go back to referrals. I know some of our partners have nailed that. There's some really big companies that have just done it through referrals.
What are some of your plans you're working on, Sam, going forward in the next 5 years? What are some of the goals that you've got for yourself and for service scalers?
To get granular, I break my company into 4 different categories. 1 is leads, 2 is sales, 3 is fulfillment, and 4 is people, right? And so really my next goals is to level up in each one of those. So I want to go I get roughly around 40 leads a month, and I want to get to 80. And I close roughly 12 new clients a month, and I want to get to 24. And from a fulfillment standpoint, Churn. I want to get churn down, which right now it's like we're losing roughly 2 clients a month, which is pretty low. We're at 100 clients, so 2 clients a month at 100. We're like we're pretty good there. And then from a people standpoint, it's all about pulling on new people and keeping them for a long time. So all those numbers over the next 5 years, I just enjoy the game. I just want to be able to drive more leads. I want to close more deals. I want to fulfill better, lose less clients, and continue to have amazing team members. So, going more of the high level things, I want to get big. Like I'd be disappointed if I didn't hit the 10 million mark over the next 5 years with the company. And we're sitting at roughly 60% 60% cost. So we get 40% profit. So like that's a decent amount of collection for us. So that's where I want to keep growing and keep playing that game. And obviously the big one would be like, how do I lower that cost? And like, how do I, reduce that with automations, pay my team more because I can afford more, keep the best ones. And then, reduce the package costs as well, so that we can close more deals.
Yeah, for us in our business journey that we went through with Squeeze, it's like you get to that point in that certain scale where you can finally, invest more in the business and the product, and you have a sort of a critical mass of clients and revenue that you can really do a lot more with. And it's incredible the compounding nature of that. And so you're going to probably see that grow exponentially, and you're going to see that gross margin improve, your cost of goods come down, and then it's amazing too how much that gross margin impacts the revenue needed, right? Like you need a lot more revenue at a lower margin than you do with a higher margin. Yeah. So getting that margin up, gives you like exponential. It's like a compounding effect, and so, I think that's great. Those are phenomenal goals. And, I can see you're well on your way to having a very large scale successful platform. So that's incredible. Congratulations.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that. First time $2.5 million CEO. So I've never done this before. I'm just making stuff up and like seeing what sticks. Like, okay, just keep going.
Love it.
And like any company running into roadblocks and going, I see where like last year we realized my model wasn't working. And so I talked to a couple people that were at 10 million and went like, hey, what did y'all do to get to this point? And like, it's this. And so made some changes. We're 6 months down the line of that and start to feel the effects of better results and better client satisfaction. So, yeah.
Well, I had one thought on your churn that it kind of escaped me, and then I remembered, but you mentioned client churn and getting that down. I can't take credit for this. I saw it through LinkedIn, but there was a LinkedIn post article I just read in the last couple of days, and it was really thoughtful. It was talking about how when you have a customer that leaves, one of the best things you can do, and this came from another CEO of another company, he would offer to give them like, $50, $75 like gift card to dinner. Like, hey, I've got this gift card I want to give you. Thank you for being a loyal customer. I've appreciated, working with you. I understand that it's not working and going forward, you want to do something different, but I'd like to give you this gift card. And all I'm asking in return is if you meet with me for 15 minutes and sort of help me understand what led you to make that decision. And when you meet with them, the information you gather about how they arrived at a decision and why they went the other direction, after you meet with like, you said 2 a month, 2 a month, after 6 months or a year, you'll have enough data there where you're like, we can make some meaningful changes to probably right after the first one you do, frankly. But as you grow that amount of information about their decision-making and why they left, you can start to drop that churn rate through changes to the fulfillment and service level and things like that. And it sounds like that's not a very high churn rate. I think you're doing really well. So, but you can also improve that through just feedback from your customers that are leaving. And
one of the things we actually implemented to really get ahead of that was we call it client alignment. And so every 3 months, they get an email and a survey from me and my director of fulfillment. And it's basically, hey, we want to just know how we're doing. Here's some questions. And what we would get is all over the board, different type of responses. So some people are like, oh my gosh, you're amazing. I love you. This is the best experience I've ever had. And then some people are like, I hate your guts. And this is why. Well, the hate your guts part, that's the best. Because they're like, oh, great. We know we can fix things, and we can fix things before we get to a place where the client's ready to churn. And so we would get in there and start to basically solve the problems. And so that's one of the big things is like getting way ahead of that client churn and starting to fix things in month 6 versus month 12 when they're already moving on.
Yeah.
So that was super helpful.
Yeah, giving them like a venue for that feedback. No, I think that's really, really good. I've found like in client services, sometimes we get so caught up in the day-to-day that we forget to ask the big picture questions. Like that's a very common thing. Like just an overall like, hey, how are we doing?
Pulse check.
Yeah, like a pulse check. And because you're just like from one task to the next, to the next, to the next. But that's like the most important thing. That pulse is the most important thing. Like we like to fly out and do like, especially with our larger clients, we like to do in-person QBRs, which is like a great venue.
That's cool.
For that. Quarterly business reviews where we meet in person and basically say like, all right, let me have it. And some of the toughest conversations we've had at those, and some of our best, most important conversations have come from those too. So that would be something that, I don't know if you're doing that currently, but I personally am a huge proponent of FaceTime. I think it builds rapport and it builds relationships.
100%. That's a great idea.
Yeah, I think that along those lines, one of the greatest skills you can have as a CEO and growing your business and being successful is being able to see around corners, being able to see the future and predict based on what you know. You know, you're dealing with a client, and I've been there with clients in the past, and we've had it. I'll tell you about one specifically that was like it was like 5 years ago, but we would get on these calls with the client, and the client was always like really brief. It's great, things are going great, so happy. Very high level, very complimentary, all the time, every call we were on. And, the person I was working with at times like, hey, that's great. They love us. Everything's great. We don't have to worry about it. And I'm like, that tells me that he's not really looking at it from an ROI perspective. And we don't know. And we know because we haven't talked about it. And when we've asked about it, they can't really quantify it. My prediction is this customer is going to get to a point when they realize that it's not backing out, and then either them or their superior or someone in the organization is going to recognize this isn't penciling and we're going to get fired, And we were trying to push for that information, but they never could produce it. And lo and behold, one day we got that phone call and it was like, hey, this isn't working. We have to turn it off. And I predicted that. I knew that because, and I think, as a CEO, the more you can sort of use your insight, intuition, experience
and use numbers to support it, which is what they were unable to do.
Exactly.
We recognized that. I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, sometimes you just can't take it on face value. Yeah. Like, hey, this is all seems like they're happy. From an agency service perspective, being able to tie it back, being able to get that like closed loop on the revenue, I think that's super key for businesses like ours.
Yeah, there's like the quantitative success and there's like the qualitative success. Like the qualitative, I like you, I trust you, you're a good person, you're great to work with, you're responsive. I just enjoy you. And then the quantitative and what you're delivering works from a money perspective. If either of those are missing, like you're hosed.
A 3-legged stool there, yeah.
Yeah, what should the third leg be? I got 2.
Oh, I thought I heard 3.
We'll workshop that. It's a bike.
Well, the way we put it, the way we put it is, do they know you care? and can you show them tangible results? Because if you can get them tangible results, like, hey, they're good results, but we don't feel like you're actually caring. Like you don't care to keep driving this. You just push the button and we're good. They're going to move on. If you care really a lot and they know it, but you're not able to get tangible results, they're going to move on. You got to have both tangible results and feel like you actually care to help them move their business forward. And I think you win.
Love that.
Love that. Yeah. Well, this has been great. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been awesome. I know we've gone a little bit long.
Yeah, Sam, thanks so much. This has been incredible. It's great to get to know you better, your business you've built and are continuing to scale, and look forward to doing more with you here in the future.
Yeah, likewise.
Let's do it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much, Sam.
We'll see you.
You've been watching the Juice Consumer Direct podcast. Make sure you give us a like, follow, and subscribe.
Yeah, if you have any questions or comments, send them in. We'll get to them.
Thanks.